How's it going, everybody? Justin here. Got a little something different for you today. As you can see, I'm in my 2017 Subaru BRZ. I'm going to try to get out onto the open roads here, a little bit of canyon driving out here west of Denver, and kind of give you an overview of what I think of the car, what I like about it, and how it compares to my 2013 Scion FRS, which was my previous car of this model. And we'll wait for some traffic to clear, and we'll get rolling here in just a minute. Alright, so we got a little bit of break in the traffic here. Hopefully we won't catch up to too many folks here. Just kind of take a casual stroll through the mountains. So I've got about 400 miles on the car so far, a little over 400 right now, still trying to get the car broken in, and you know, so far I'm liking the car a lot. It's a good upgrade from my 2013 Scion FRS. Largely the same for the most parts when it comes to driving feel and handling and that kind of thing, but there are some subtle differences. One thing I notice, you know, right off the bat when I first started driving this car is the gearbox, the shifter, and the shifting action, the clutch pedal. Everything is a little bit smoother, a little bit easier to engage, not quite as notchy as the old car, my 2013 FRS, and feels really good. So that's a nice improvement that I noticed right out of the bat. The steering on these cars, lightweight, responsive. Really feel what you're feeling through the tires, direct on the road. Getting into some of the turns here in the mountains, so try to pay a little bit more attention. Lots of people coming down the hill, hopefully not many going up the hill. But yeah, from a steering standpoint, this car really responsive. It's largely the same as my 2013 FRS was. Not a whole lot different in that regard. Try to give this cyclist a little bit of room. And I love how these cars drive when they're stock. I mean, obviously this car is bone stock. My FRS, the 2013 model, for those of you that have been following my channel know that one was pretty highly modified, had a lot of upgrades to its suspension and engine, and it drove great as well, but it was very firm. You felt everything in the chassis, everything in the ground. This car being stock, it's a little more forgiving, a little more dancey, a little more soft, of course, but still tons of fun. When I put my FRS back to stock, I was amazed at how fun those cars are to drive in the bone stock form. So getting up the mountain here, mostly in fourth gear so far, and that's because the engine is not broken in, of course, so I'm not revving beyond 4,500 RPMs. In most cases, I'll get it up there in some situations, but I don't try to hammer it out near the red line. And it carves really good. Even these crappy Prius tires that they put on these things stock, mediocre grip, good enough for canyon driving, still allows for a little bit of fun. Grab a downshift here and hopefully hear a little bit of the exhaust notes. And for most of this stuff, I'm just going up and down the canyon in fourth gear, like I said. A little bit of third gear there. Now the power on the new car, the 2017 model, we all know it got bumped up by about 5 horsepower, 5 foot-pounds of torque as well. And can you feel it? I'm not really sure you can feel the extra engine power, but you can definitely feel the change in the gearing. The car does go through the gears a lot quicker They're a lot shorter geared. You know, first all the way through to sixth. Sixth is still in overdrive, I believe. But once we get into fifth gear, I mean, the car is pretty low in the RPMs. I'm cruising at 55 and 3,200 RPMs. But, you know, once we downshift into fourth and into third, getting outside of that torque dip, which is still there, of course. Unfortunately, and kind of to my surprise, I thought they would have tried to tune that out better. Now, don't get me wrong, this car is quicker than the previous version. When I had my FRS in stock form a few weeks back, it does feel really boggy, really slow in the low RPMs. This car is similar, but because of the gearing, it gets through the gears quicker. It feels like it's faster. Everywhere in the power range, it feels more responsive and quicker. Not terribly quicker or terribly faster, but it is definitely noticeable. I think this car, the 2017 model in stock form, is definitely more fun to drive. Now, that being said, I mean, the previous generation cars were also tons of fun to drive in stock form. So, I mean, there's a little bit of margin there, but, you know, while it's noticeable, it's not huge, right? But I definitely noticed it. I do like this car better than the stock 2013 FRS. Now, as far as balance, you know, everybody that's driven these cars, this is a decreasing radius turn here, a fun one. And back the other way. A little bit of rear end scooting on that bump there, but very controllable. So like I was saying, the balance on these cars is awesome. Obviously, I haven't pushed this one that hard. You know, I drive conservative in these canyons, obviously, because I'm out on the public streets and there's lots of cyclists and other cars. So very casual type of driving, but you still do get to kind of get almost to the edge of the grip of the tires. Not quite. We'll slow up for the town here. All right, back on the road. We've been pretty lucky so far with traffic. I'm not sure we're going to have the same luck going down the hill, so... interior on this car, I think I gave you a bit of an overview in one of my previous videos. The BRZ is quite a bit upgraded from my 2013 FRS from an interior standpoint. Lots of leather, lots of new fancy creature comforts, that kind of thing. The seats, nice and bolstered, just like the previous version. I don't think they're any different, if at all, but very good seats, keep you well in place when you're putting some lateral G's into the car. And of course, I got my cool little new digital dash, which you obviously can't see, but it shows my torque curve, my pretty awesome torque dip, when I'm going to hit it, and when I'm going to be out of it, kind of thing. So that's a cool little feature to have. I've also got the G display, the G meter or accelerometer down there in the dash. So we're getting just to about the end of my ride here. It'll be a quick little video for you. A few of the things I love about this car compared to my old Scion FRS, the previous generation of these cars, or I should say pre-facelift, pre-life cycle upgrade, whatever you want to call it. I think the gearbox is definitely number one. Just the way that the car feels and goes through the gears is a lot nicer. I still think they could do a better job with kind of flattening out that torque dip, getting rid of that lull in the engine. But overall, I think it's a good upgrade. I think the car sounds good. Even though it's the stock exhaust from Subaru, still makes a little bit of a roar. I don't know if you can hear it that well with the mic volume. And I gotta say, you know, when I traded in my FRS, I love that car a lot. It was tons of fun. I was a little hesitant, but you know, after driving this one for a little over a week now, getting some miles on it, I really love it. It's an awesome car. I think if I had to complain about one thing, besides the torque dip, of course, would be the steering wheel. The steering wheel is slightly thinner than my FRS was. I definitely noticed it in the 9 and 3 positions. You kind of, and I got big hands, maybe that's why, but it just feels narrower to the grip, narrower to the hand. Just feels like a little bit less control overall. We're gonna pull off here at my normal pull-off spots, and you know, the steering wheel is one thing. A lot of people are probably gonna love it. Most people probably won't even notice. I noticed the difference just because I had the previous model FRS, and not a big deal, and I'll get used to it, and really it's a small thing to complain about with these cars. So otherwise, loving the car, love driving through the mountains. I'm gonna go hit a few more up here down the road. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more, and we'll talk to you soon.